Hi, are you ready to make a beautiful card today? We're going to be using the Latte Love stamp set and coordinating designer series papers as well as some dies to have a great time creating a beautiful card, or a beautiful card as I said in the beginning. I am so glad you're here to hang out with me for a few minutes. My name is Julia. I'm with Julia Sue Stamping. I'm passionate about stamping, coloring, paper crafting, making cards, and sharing the fun of doing all of that with you. I live in Northeast Ohio. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. All the supplies I use are Stampin' Up! And I'll have details of everything used down below in the description, so please be sure you check it out. My online store is listed there, as well as my blog. I have a lot more details on the blog, like measurements and all the details, so you can check that out. If you decide to make any purchases and help support my small business, thank you. If you already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, that is okay. I don't mind. I'm simply glad that you're here to hang out with me. So, without anything else to say here, let's get started. Bringing in the players for this beautiful card, we are doing the Latte Love stamp set. This stamp set is so fantastic, and for this card, we're using the Thanks So Much. This stamp set also comes with matching dies. I've written a D on my stamp set, not on the stamp set, but on a little piece of paper and then taped it to my stamp set so I could remember that there were dies that coordinate with this. And we're going to be using them. And we're also using these stylish shapes with a square. We're using some circle die cut, and here is from the Latte Love coordinating dies, a little cup, along with some cute little cups right here. So with those colors, with these here, we did a Lost Lagoon tiny little cup. I should put it on my hand. And I also have one out of the pecan pie. We've got this with the circle. We cut a bit of vellum. And for the square, the stylish shapes, we did a scrap piece of basic white. As for the cardstocks and designer series paper, we start off with a piece of basic white that has been cut 11 inches by 4 1/4 and then scored at 5 1/2. Folding that and then using the bone folder, we're going to make that seam nice and tight right where it was scored. And then we have a piece of Lost Lagoon that has been cut to be 3 3/4 inches by 5, and a piece of the designer paper out of the A Little Latte designer series paper, and this was cut to be 3 1/2 by 4 3/4 inches, so it will lay down on this just beautifully. Let's go ahead and adhere these together. I like to use Stampin' Seal Plus. That's my go-to for adhesive, but I know a lot of people like using glue, and that is perfectly fine if that's what you prefer. Okay, get this started. There we go. Laying it on. And now I'm going to surround this with a piece of ribbon from this suite. So it's a beautiful jute type of ribbon, and it is dotted. I've cut it to be 6 inches in length. So we're going to simply adhere it right around the outside. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to just use some Scotch tape. So if you have a little bit of Scotch tape, that's a good thing. I also like to put a little bit of adhesive right around the middle where I know it's going to go. And then I'm going to place it onto the cardstock, I don't know, maybe about 1 inch or so up from the bottom. And I'm going to use the grid paper to make sure it is maybe, to make sure that it is straight. So I've got the grid paper here, and then I'm going to use the lines on the grid paper to help me make sure I've got this straight. There we go. All right, so then folding it over, I'm going to use the tape and adhere it to the sides. And then I'm going to use some dimensionals to put it onto the base of the card. I'm almost done with this package, so I'm using the edges to make sure I use every little bit that I can out of this package of dimensionals. Then removing the backing of the dimensionals. We lay this onto the base of the card. So this is a portrait style card. Very nice. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put this piece of vellum on here. And we're going to, I'm going to offset the vellum just a little bit, and I'm going to use a tiny bit of the adhesive to simply put it right around here. And then I will have my sentiment piece on top of that. So I'm going to stamp the thanks so much onto the sentiment piece. I'm using early espresso for this. So opening up the ink pad and then inking up the stamp. It's great because you can see right where you're stamping. I'm going to use a pad underneath here because this is a photopolymer stamp, so it doesn't have the padding that a red rubber stamp has, or the cling stamps as they call them. So the nice thing is I can see pretty well where I am stamping. Just set it right down and lift up, and there we go. All right, I am going to go ahead then and close up the ink. Set that aside. And now I'm going to go ahead and adhere a die cut piece from the Designer Series paper. I used this great die cut and I cut out one of the little cups. So I'm going to adhere the cup so it's a little bit off of the paper with the handle here. Putting some adhesive on. And I'm going to kind of have it off the card a little bit. And then I'm going to do kind of the same thing with my little cups here. I'm going to put one of them right on the side and then the other one underneath it and kind of coming off a bit like that. So again, I'm just going to use a little bit of adhesive on there. You can use a glue dot if you prefer. There. And then for this pecan pie cup, just a little bit of adhesive. There, I'm really happy with how that looks. And now I'm going to use some dimensionals and put that right here like that on the card. So it covers up where I have that little bit of vellum, and it's also going to be able to give the vellum a bit more stability to stay there. Once again, I'm going to cut up the edges here. Almost done with this package. This card is going to wrap someone in a warm hug like their favorite brew and just give them a big smile, a bit of comfort on what might be kind of a cold day for them. And I will kind of eyeball it here. I want to have my dimensionals going the other way because I want to have it off of the ribbon. So I'm just changing it so they're all going that way, and that will work better. Okay. Making sure I've got it straight, and I think that works. All right, I took some of the same ribbon and I cut just a couple of threads off of it, and I'm going to tie it into a bow. I'm going to put a glue dot right on there. Now I'm going to set my little bow right by my Lost Lagoon piece, cutting the ends off of it. There. Now for the inside, I've cut another piece of the Lost Lagoon that is 4 inches by 5 1/8, and then this piece right here is 3 7/8 inches by 5. So I'm going to adhere these together. There's only an 1/8 inch over, and then I will put them inside. Laying it down, and then this piece here, a little bit of adhesive. And it goes inside as well. And a nice little border of white around it. That is a nice way to finish that off. The finishing touch is going to be some Naturals adhesive back sequins. Using my Take Your Pick tool, I'm going to place them onto the card. So we'll have one right here, and I think I'll put the other one up higher, and then another small one here on that vellum. That looks kind of cool. And then I think I'll use another big one down here, and I tend to like them in odd numbers, so I'm going to take one more small one and I'm going to put it right there. And that's all there is to that. The biggest thing with this one is the die cuts. So we've got the circle, a little square, the cup, and these, but that is great. And you can fussy cut right around here instead if you would prefer. So there we go. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This card is just fantastic. It has so many little pieces and parts, but boy, does it ever pack a punch. And anyone is going to love getting this card from you. Don't you think so? They're going to be so glad that you're thanking them and that you're showing your appreciation for them in such a nice and tangible way. That's what cards, when you're sending them out, do. They let people know that you're really thinking about them, which is a very important thing to do. Connections, building relationships is what this is about. So I want to say thank you again for joining me. I hope you have a fantastic day and that you have a chance to get inky. Please give the video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Bye.